You are small, insignificant, and you will never amount to anything. At least in the scope of the universe, that's true. Now, a lot of us are probably thinking Earth is a pretty big celestial object, but in fact, Earth is pretty small in comparison to most of the stuff in our universe. Earth is around 6,000 kilometers. Its radius is around 6,000 kilometers, which in contrast to other planets is relatively small. Earth is actually only the 4th largest planet in the solar system, Mars being right behind us and Neptune being in front of us. Now then, this is the only one I did not draw to size, and please excuse my terrible drawing because I am not good at drawing. Just to give you some scope to how big, this is Jupiter by the way, how big Jupiter is to Earth. If I had drawn this to scale, about 2 or 3 Earths would fit in a little hurricane that's in the middle of Jupiter. That's how big this planet is. In fact, Jupiter is about 71 kilometers. Its radius is 71,000 kilometers compared to Earth's 6,000 kilometers. That's roughly 11 Earths that can fit inside Jupiter. So you're probably thinking right about now, Jupiter is a pretty big planet. Not really, actually. Jupiter is one of these smaller Jovian giants, gas giants in the universe. Jovian gas giant is a planet that is big and filled with gas and typically doesn't have a core. Now then, this next one I drew to scale, Jupiter being about 71,000 kilometers. The Sun, on the other hand, is 1,392,000 kilometers wide. Now we got our pretty ballin' Sun here, right? Got his Kanye's on. And this is Jupiter right here. Look at that little guy. He's tiny. This is drawn to scale, like I said. So you can just imagine how big the Sun really is. You can fit about 109 Earths in the Sun or 13 Jupiters in the Sun. That's big. So right now you're probably feeling pretty small. Probably feeling pretty insignificant compared to some of the size of these things. But I just want to go over one more thing. This is introduced you to one of my friends. He is a red hypergiant. Doesn't that sound awesome? It's a red hypergiant called VY Canis Majoris. He is roughly 2.7, this is drawn to scale, 2.7 billion kilometers wide. That's about 1.7 billion miles wide. And this is our Sun right here, just chilling out here. This is about 1/18 of the Sun because I can't draw it on one poster board. To give you some retrospect of how big this is, if our Sun was a ping pong ball and you put it in the middle of the Golden Gate Bridge, the radius of the Golden Gate Bridge would be roughly about the same as this star. If this star were our star, it would actually go past the orbit of Mars and there would be no Earth because it would be burning, smoldering crisp. So then, you're probably thinking, that's some pretty big stuff, right? You get your Sun, it's all so much bigger than us. But actually we know only about 0.01% of the stars in our galaxy have been observed. It's not very much at all. In fact, we're not exactly sure how many stars there are in our galaxy. We know there are roughly 100 billion stars in our galaxy. So that's a lot of stars. That means there can be bigger ones than this out there. You're probably thinking 100 million stars is a lot, but there's actually about 100,000 of those stars have planets around them. So there are a lot more planets that are probably bigger than Earth. On top of that, there are about, according to a brief history of time, there are about 200 billion galaxies in the known universe. So, next time you're sitting there, you're thinking pretty big, you know, you just won the big game, you should probably humble yourself because God made a pretty big universe to remind ourselves that we're actually pretty small.